is a true story for those who are yet to serve. The fear of being deployed to the northern states overwhelmed my mind while registering for my NYSC. Not that I've had encounters about places in the north, but because of its long distances from the east. 2 days to the end of the registration, I went to a cyber cafe to secure my slot. Getting to the option of choosing the desired state, an error message popped up on the screen. All states have been allocated. I was told it was a network issue that I should check back later. Since I have a smartphone, I decided to use it at my convenience to recheck. The final day to the closure of the registration, 4 provided states popped up and I was left with no option than to click them. When the call-up letter came out, I saw a state I least expected, and that was when my troubles started. I could not shake off the thoughts of serving in that state. I wanted to redeploy. A guy claiming to have connections in Abuja told me to take these steps. When you get to the camp, look for your platoon supervisor, collect his number and send to me, and I'll take it from there. I didn't have an idea on how these things work. I just believed him because he says he has an uncle who works in NYSC. I only fulfilled my role in the process efficiently and waited to see the outcome. As the relocation deadline approached, the supervisor called me and queried me for collecting his number without anyone calling him till that date. I was stunned, and after much investigation, found out I was fooled by the guy. With that, I lost interest about relocating. Even when my uncle wanted to assist, I told him not to bother. The day for posting came, and I was posted to a local government to teach in a school. On my arrival at the Corpus Lodge, I was relieved to find full network coverage on my SIM card, conducive atmosphere to relax, and nice people to interact with. I thought the euphoria will last throughout my service here, but little did I know more troubles were coming. After the documentation at the Secretariat, the local government inspector, LGI, quickly spoke. If the principal of your school does not come to pick you, I will repost you. That is how I run my activities. I didn't even bother paying attention as I believed our principal would definitely come to pick us. I thought. A few hours from that time, and the coppers remaining were only 3. I and 2 other people. Others had gone with their principals. Meanwhile, we saw a man seated outside as we went in for our documentation, but didn't have a clue on what was happening. The LGI soon grew impatient and was like, I am exhausted. I need to rest. I will repost you all. Without asking for our consent, he gave us a sheet of paper to put down our names. And the next thing I heard was, follow this man. That's the school you will teach. As novices, unfamiliar with the process, we followed the man. The man flagged down a shuttle on the main road and we boarded it. 30 minutes later, we arrived at our destination and stopped at the location. I thought he stopped to collect something, but it turned out we've reached our destination, the school. The school was basically 3 rented shops. No formal structure, just mud built setups. It was actually a private school. The man led us to his office and began briefing us on the subjects we would be taking. Right there, one of us quickly interrupted and said, Sir, please, I want to learn Arabic, and the school I was posted to is an Islamic school. Let me go there to know if they will accept me. If they don't, I will come back. I didn't know it was a tactic to evade. He left, and it remained the girl and I. After the man finished with us, he took us to where we would be staying. When we arrived, the room was in a sorry state. Cobwebs, insects, and mud everywhere. A rickety bed on the ground. The window had no net, just a protector. This means passers-by would glance curiously for a couple of seconds before moving on. The girl and I kept our belongings and prepared for a normal 2-week break, which is normally observed. I thought I could manage the whole situation until I returned after the break. A week into our 2-week break, I decided to call my colleague. The greeting I got that day got me devastated. She said she had relocated to another local government. She claimed she didn't like the school. She couldn't take the 2 subjects and was fortunate to have a friend who quickly changed her primary place of assignment. I was taken aback and, as such, queried her for not letting me know of the new development. I decided to accept the situation to work alone in that school. The break was over and I soon found myself in the school. I got to the room and, with the whole tiredness from the journey, sat on the rickety bed. I took out my phone and behold, no network coverage. I started to soliloquize. How will I cope here? How will I get water? How will I manage without browsing? How will I eat? With those thoughts, I stood up and decided to find a way. I went out and saw a woman. Asked her where I could get water. Then she responded, water far from here oh. Na manna we dey call to come fetch water for us and na well water. If you need water, carry am for this drum. She spoke in pidgin. I thanked her, used bucket to get some water. I looked at the water. The water looked murky, like it had milk mixed into it, and became worried about the effect it might have on my skin after usage. I couldn't hold it any longer. I quickly went outside and called the proprietor, explaining my predicament. He told me to go to the school on Monday, meet the other coppers, and stay with them till he comes back. I accepted the situation for that period. I went to a Nabuki store to grab some dinner and ordered an indomie with eggs. I was so hungry that I dug right in, but then I spotted a dead fly in my food. Oh no. I quickly dropped the food, paid for it and left the store. Monday came and I went to the school. I met 2 coppers there and they welcomed me with, "See, let us advise you because nobody advised us when we came. This place is not good. It is better if you go back to your original PPE or try to relocate to another state, or else you will suffer. Just tell the LGI that you want to relocate. Give him money. The man likes money too much and he will help you." There was one guy who even relocated a month to his passing out. Hearing that I could still relocate at that time, I smiled. I decided to check my original PPE to know exactly where and how it looks like. I asked around for the place and boarded the cab to get to the destination. After meeting with the principal and explaining the situation, she disputed the claim that the LGI had called her to pick up her coppers. This led me to suspect that the LGI might have been bribed. The LGI is a formidable figure. Interacting with him often ends in verbal abuse. Whether you greet him or not is likely to be met with hostility. He's the kind of person who can reduce you to tears without justification. Given the situation, I decided to redeploy to another state, which was still possible at that time. However, I soon realized that my decision to call the LGI had been a grave mistake. I thought I had found a way to be liberated, but more troubles were on the horizon. I called the LGI and explained my relocation status. He seemed uninterested and asked me to meet him in person. When I arrived, he castigated me and asked me to send my details and meet him on Thursday at the CDS meeting. I sent my details, hoping for a positive outcome. When I met him on Thursday, he told me to call in the evening to discuss my file. I called my mom and explained the situation. She advised me to ask for his account details as a sign of appreciation. However, when I did, he responded harshly, saying, "Account details for what? I don't do that." I was relieved that I wouldn't have to send him money. That night, I felt hopeful that my relocation would be successful. However, the next day, he told me he was in a meeting, and on Saturday, he hung up on me, saying I was disturbing him. I was scared to call again, fearing it would jeopardize the process, so I asked my uncle to intervene. When my uncle called him, the LGI's response was shocking. My uncle told me that the LGI had said I was stupid and had tried to bribe him. My uncle begged for forgiveness, and eventually the LGI said he would consider my case. That night I was devastated. Despite my fellow corps members' encouragement, I felt hopeless. He suggested I contact the assistant LGI who might be able to help. I decided to call the assistant LGI and he asked me to meet him. When I met the assistant LGI, he revealed that the LGI had discussed my case with him and wasn't willing to help. However, he offered to help with a fee. I discussed it with my family and we decided to send him 10,000 naira. Later, he demanded more money and I sent him another 10,000 naira. Weeks passed and I didn't hear anything. I decided to wait until the clearance date to follow up. Meanwhile, I traveled because I had a 1-week break due to the school's midterm break and Salah activities. On the clearance day, the assistant LGI told me to call him in the evening. He said the LGI would post my relocation after the Salah break. However, when I called him later, he said I would have to follow the normal relocation process, which would take 3 months. I was shocked and frustrated. I realized that I had been duped of 20,000 naira. I had started my pursuit for relocation on May 6th, and now I would have to wait until the next batch of corps members leaving camp in July. I decided to check the portal and found out that batch B would be leaving camp in the 2nd week of July. This meant I would still have to do my monthly clearance for July. I was torn between going back and waiting for the relocation to be processed. In the end, I decided to return and stay with the fellow corps members at the school where I was teaching. However, I soon discovered that one of the corps members didn't want me there and tensions arose. The July clearance came and I met the assistant LGI again. He told me to check my dashboard, but I didn't see any updates. When I called him back, he asked me to apply online, which I did. As the deadline for relocation approached, I was still unsure if my effort would pay off. Would my relocation be successful, or would I remain in the state to finish my service here? You will find out in my next story.